Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so now we're talking Mavs Jazz. Luka Doncic should be making his return today. He said he's going to play in Game 4. He feels good. He wants to do it. Now, my thing is, they haven't been able to beat the others. That combination of players is working. I don't think you should be bringing Luka back into the lineup for any reason right now. I think he should be able to continue to heal and further his betterment and conditioning, if that's the right way to say that, but continuing getting better in his health until Utah proves that they can beat the team that you've been running at them. See, the thing about it is now Luka Doncic is going to take the ball out of those hot player hands, out of those hot guys' hands. What do you know what I'm trying to say? Pause. You know what I'm trying to say. He's going to get the ball out of Dinwiddie and Brunson's hands at this point, get back to Luka ball, and you're going to live and die with whatever he does. Good or bad, shooting, he's an amazing player, but this is not what beat the Jazz. What beat the Jazz is that combination of guys that they are facing that they can't defend at all for whatever reason. They can't beat these guys. They can't overcome them. They can't, they can't score on them. They're just getting beat. I don't even know how the series is in 0-3 at this point, but the reality is now you bring a Luka in. That's an entirely different team. Luka Doncic is a whole team to himself, damn near. So maybe Utah has more success against Luka Doncic. Maybe they don't. But what I'm saying is they were having trouble with that Mavericks. And that's a real thing, you guys. That's a real thing. All it takes is one player or two players to change up the whole team dynamic. Now maybe suddenly you're slipping into a game plan that they had been working on for 2-3 weeks, thinking they was going to be playing y'all, as to where they had to switch out of that game plan, and the new game plan wasn't really working against this particular situation. Now they can go, okay, now we can get back to the Luka game plan that we really know works. I'm not saying that's the case necessarily, but this is what you allow yourself to do when you bring back a injured super duper star after having so much success without him in the playoffs. I just don't think it's a good strategy. I don't. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not going to beat the Jazz. They probably will. But you're toying with chemistry. You're toying with continuity. You're toying with rhythm. And most importantly, you're rushing a star back for no reason. No reason. I am arguing that it doesn't necessarily benefit you to do so. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't think this helps. I think this hurts you. So we'll see what happens. We'll see. If Luka's not 100%, and he's spending most of his time trying to figure out how to get back in rhythm, taking jump shots that, if he comes out hot, cool, he's Luka Doncic. You know what he can do. But if he comes out with heavy legs because he hasn't played and he's been injured, turning the ball over or whatever stuff that may happen, he hasn't played in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Come on, man. I think the best thing for them to do is to keep him on the treadmill for this game. If he feels good enough to play, then he definitely feels good enough to condition himself and work out. But as far as going out there, messing with that hammy again, testing it, when we know he's not where he needs to be, he's not 100% healthy, and he's the superstar, so you're going to need him for the next rounds as well. This is just bad. This is a bad decision, honestly. Because if he re-injures it, now you really got problems. Because, yeah, you can beat Utah with those two, but you ain't beating Phoenix with those two. Not without Luka Doncic. I don't think you're beating Phoenix anyway, but you're definitely not beating Phoenix if Luka Doncic has a setback because he's rushing back to play in a series that they're probably favored to win without him. So I just know better. Now, as far as Utah's concerned, they're a few minutes away from the misery being put out. I think all that stuff I just said would hit harder if Utah was a viable team, but given that they're not, it may not even matter at all. Luka Doncic could come in and they may not make them pay for any mistakes at all, because that's how Utah's been handling things. They look lackluster. They look outdated in terms of how they're structured on the floor. They look like they're unwilling to make these roster adjustments to put themselves in a position to actually be able to match up properly. And it just looks like people need to be away from Utah, who are there right now doing things. Danny Ainge and Dwayne Wade have come in over the last year and a half or so and have brought us an understanding that changes are coming. And it's almost time for them to get activated. I think that, as I've been watching these playoffs, Utah is by far the team that's just not supposed to be here. They're not. They ain't supposed to be here. The way they play, the way they're structured, the effort that they show, None of that speaks of the playoffs, and they need to go home. Straight up. I'm not going to play with them, play about them, or nothing. I'm with Stephen A. They've been an embarrassment in how they've approached. And, I'm not seeing the effort out of Donovan Mitchell that I expected. He's getting outplayed by a guy like Jalen Brunson. With all due respect to Jalen Brunson, he's better than Jalen Brunson. He needs to be playing better than Jalen Brunson. And until Jalen Brunson proves that he's a better player than Donovan Mitchell needs to be getting his share of criticism for not being as effective as he should be. A lot of that has to do with the coaching style and the style of play. I think it would be much better if he was in a fast break situation where he was getting easy buckets, catching ball lobs and things of that nature, getting rhythm shots in transition. Utah doesn't hardly do any of that, so I get it. But he still needs to find ways of being more of a monster against this Dallas defense. I understand Dallas is a fantastic defensive team, but Utah, to its core, is supposed to be a defensive 3-and-D team, basically. They play defense, and then their system is supposed to be set up for everybody to shoot threes. I don't know what's going on with their rotation, but they have a lot of non-shooters on the floor a lot of the time. And guys like Jordan Clarkson's not a natural three-point shooter. He's not. He's a scorer. These Daniel House, now you're betraying that by giving a guy like Daniel House so many minutes when he doesn't shoot threes. You got to get a guy like Pascal or Paschal. I never know how to say his name, but he's a power forward who they don't play at all, who had some good minutes with the Golden State Warriors, who can shoot the three. He will now help you get back to what it is that you need to do in that way. More Bogdanovich threes and things of that nature. I don't know what's going on with Bogdanovich. He looks like he's kind of just probably got 1 foot out. That's a problem. And I'll tell you something else that they miss. I'll tell you who the Utah Jazz really miss. They miss Joe Ingles. That's who the Jazz miss. If y'all really want to know what's happening down there, they miss Joe Ingles. Joe Ingles was who kept them in that. He was the guy that was able to, they would come off the bench and have these little dry spells. He would string off a couple threes. He would get to the line. He would juke somebody up and go to the hole. Now, obviously, even if they didn't trade him away, he was out for the season. So, yeah, that's not within their control. But, what hasn't been mentioned is how very important he was to what the Jazz did. And now they replaced him with Daniel House. Sorry, that's not working. So that's what you're seeing there. And you got players like, Whiteside, who's also on this team. You're not seeing, I'm not hearing his name in these playoffs. I think he could be an imposing factor if they used him properly, giving him an imposing advantage. You just got to get creative, man. I don't know what's, this roster is not built for a whole lot. Benching Nickeil Alexander-Walker is a disgrace, just like benching Bol is a disgrace. I'll never, ever, ever believe that was anything less than incompetence on the parts of both of these respective franchises, Utah and Denver, as they had Bol and trade him away, of course. But didn't play him when he was healthy. Huge mistake. Just massive mistake. This is the same situation exactly. You got Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He's a big player. He can get steals. He can get assists. He can get rebounds. He can get points. There's nothing about this kid that you've seen in the NBA that tells you he should not be playing at all. Nothing at all. Zero. Zilch. Nothing. So Utah is just dropping the ball in that situation, and it's not the first time we've seen that. He would help them a lot in these playoffs. Quinn's not playing him. I don't have an answer for that. Maybe he's not healthy. Maybe there's something else going on behind the scenes. I don't know, but he needs to be on the floor, period. So that's what you got with the Utah Jazz, man. And then you got a lot of names on the back of the bench that you never heard of that they don't use. Maybe they can play, maybe they don't. I don't know, but they never play them. So, yeah. I'm a Laker fan, so I have a special sense of frustration as it pertains to seeing teams be run poorly, because I've been dealing with it very close. So right now, I'm looking at that in Utah. I'm somewhat offended by it. And I just want Dallas to take care of them right now, finish them off these next 2 games, and send them to where they need to go. Kablamo, to kingdom come. So that's what I got, man. Not too much to say about them. Maybe they win the game, maybe they don't. I don't care. Hopefully they don't, so that process can begin. And I will say that I hated the Jazz very much when I was a child. So if you're sensing some hate, that's what it is. Yeah, I've hated them for a very long time. The Karl Malone days, John Stockton, Hornacek, they were my first original hated team. It was them and the Blazers. But nevertheless, I digress. The point is, that's not where I'm speaking from. I'm speaking from a point of view that actually wants to see some good basketball, and that's not what we're getting from the Jazz, even though they found a way to win a game in this series, which is very unfortunate. So hopefully that doesn't happen again, and we will see them lose, and then hopefully for their fans' sake, they get that rebuild that they so desperately need and get some real exciting players down there that can either accompany Donovan Mitchell and giving them the type of product they deserve to see, or, starting this process all over again. They can get some Chet Holmgrens or something like that. Start this process right. Because Utah's a proud franchise that has yet to capture that championship, and they should not have let this broken build stand this long. Rudy Gobert has earned his $200 million contract. He's earned that. Are you or any team in the league better for having that contract on the books? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's a horrible contract. Why? Because he can't shoot, can't dribble. He's a very limited player. Now, he's a very menacing player on the defensive end, but he's slowing down. So now you have to tick that down a little bit. So as to where he would be able to affect the floor more, now it's a situation where he's such a liability when they shoot and spread the floor that you can't even play him. But it's a monkey wrench because you can't sit him. It makes too much money. You got to sit him. You can't let that get in the way of your strategy. If the Golden State Warriors can sit Steph Curry, the Jazz can sit Rudy Gobert, and they probably should find a different way to play. It'll make things more easy for Rudy Gobert because it'll obviously get him off the floor so he doesn't have to play as many minutes going forward, which I think will prolong his career, obviously, as a big man. But also, it'll allow you an opportunity to give yourself a different look, as we say about all the teams in the league, so that you can be more effective with a Rudy Gobert. When he does get out there, he'd be more fresh and be more equipped to be a threat because he's not being exploited so often. Better for your team overall. Sit him where necessary. And believe me, it's necessary. So that's something that needs to be said. Anyway, that's what I got, man. Go Dallas. Go Dallas. It ain't that I want Utah fans to suffer. It's that I don't. It's that it's time for them to have a real team. not this Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell nonsense that does not work. Didn't work when they put it together. Didn't look like it was going to work, and yet it's one of the longest tenured duos in the league. I don't know. I don't know. But it needs to come to an end right now. So that's what I got to say, man. My name is BDL44. Obviously, this is going to be a game where I expect shooters to be prevalent. Before I get away, we want to say Maxi Kleber, and Davis Bertans, Reggie Bullock, those shooters. Obviously the first two, those two guys were excellent in the last game. That needs to continue. Utah has no answer for it. And as far as Utah, shoot threes, man. Shoot threes. That's what you're good at. Put your shooters on the floor and let them light it up. Bogdanovich, let it fly. Mitchell, let it fly. Conley, let it fly. Let it fly. That's what Utah needs to do. Above 33-point attempts. That's who you are. If you ain't gonna play D, shoot the damn three. So, that's pretty much what I got to say, man. That is it. Welcome back, Luka the Don. I do think you should scale it back, relax, take as much time off, empower Dinwiddie and Brunson to continue on the trajectory they're on. It'll make life a lot easier for you. The more of the threat they are, the less the defense is paying attention to you. Get them the ball. Get them the ball. Do not let them take steps backwards. It's not good for your team. So, that's what I got, man. Shout out to Dorian Finney-Smith because I know he's going to ball out, rebounds, three-point shots, 50-50 balls. He's becoming one of my favorite types of players in the league. When you talk about these players who can do all kinds of different things and stretch the floor, he's definitely someone who's making a name for himself. So definitely paying attention to him. Dwight Powell as well will be important tonight. Continue it to just get on the glass, do all the stuff that he's always done as a lifelong Dallas Maverick. It's pretty much what I got to say, man. This game, I think it starts at 1:30 in the great state of Texas, Dallas. And am I right about that? No, I think it's in Utah. Yeah, this is game 2. This is game 4, and it's in Utah. Forgive me. This game is at the whatever. I don't know. They change the name every 3 years. But it's up there, and yeah, everyone enjoy it. BDL44. Thank you all for watching. I'm out.